Guys, the stuff that they throw into this mix is positively vile. I do believe a bit of a baby goes into the cauldron. That's typical witches, guys. That's their thing.
Thrice the brinded cat hath mewed.
Thrice, and once the hedge pig whined.
Harpier cries, 'tis time, 'tis time.
Round about the cauldron go, in the poisoned entrails throw. Toad that under cold stone days and nights has 31. Sweltered venom sleeping got, boil thou first in the charmed pot. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble.
Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mummy, maw and gulf of the ravened salt sea shark. Root of hemlock digged in the dark, liver of blaspheming Jew, gall of goat and slips of yew slivered in the moon's eclipse. Nose of Turk and Tartar's lips, finger of birth, strangled babe, ditch delivered by trap, make the gruel thick and slap. Add thereto a tiger's shotgun for the ingredients of a cauldron.
Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good.
Here she comes,
Here she
I
is.
will mend your pain,
She's happy.
and everyone shall share in the gains. And now about the cauldron sing, like elves and fairies in a ring, enchanting all that you put in.
Round, 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 about, all in, running in, all road out.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Open, locks, whoever knocks.
They know he's there.
How now, you secret black and midnight hags? What is't you do?
A deed without a name.
I conjure you by that which you profess. Howe'er you come to know it, answer me. Though you untie the winds and let them fight against the churches, though the yeasty waves confound and swallow navigation up, though bladed corn be lodged and trees blown down, though castles topple on their warders' heads, though palaces and pyramids do slope their heads to their foundations, though the treasure of nature's germans tumble all together, even till destruction sicken, answer me to what I ask you.
Speak, demand.
Your answer,
Say if thou hadst rather hear it from our mouths or from our masters.
Call 'em. Let me see 'em.
Pour in sow's blood that hath eaten her 9 farrow. Grease that sweating from the murderer's gibbet. Throw into the flame. Come high or low, thyself and office deftly show.
Tell me, thou unknown power,
He knows thy thought. Hear his speech, but say thou not.
Macbeth, beware Macduff. Beware the thing of life. Dismiss me. Enough. Whate'er thou art, for thy good caution thanks. Thou hast hawked my fear aright, but one word more.
He will not be commanded. Here's another, more potent than the first. Macbeth, Macbeth, Macbeth.
Had I 3 ears, I'd hear thee.
Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth.
Then live, Macduff. What need I fear of thee? But yet I'll make assurance double sure, and take a bond of fate. Thou shalt not live, that I may tell pale-hearted fear it lies and sleep in spite of thunder. What is this that rises like the issue of a king, and wears upon his baby brow the round and top of sovereignty?
Listen, but speak not to it.
Be lion-mettled, proud, and take no care who chafes, who frets, or where conspirers are. Macbeth shall never vanquished be until great Burnham wood to high Dunsinane hill shall come against him.
That will never be. Who can impress the forest, bid the tree unfix his earthbound root? Sweet bodements, good. Rebellious dead, rise never till the wood of Burnham rise, and our high-placed Macbeth shall live the lease of nature, pay his breath to time and mortal custom. Yet my heart throbs to know one thing. Tell me, if your art can tell so much, shall Banquo's issue ever reign in this kingdom?
Seek to know no more.
I will be satisfied. Deny me this, and an eternal curse fall on you. Let me know. Why sinks that cauldron? And what noise is this?
Show his eyes and grieve his heart. Come like shadows, so depart.
Thou art too like the spirit of Banquo. Down! Thy crown does sear mine eyeballs, and thy hair, thou other gold-bound brow, is like the first. A third is like the former. Filthy hags! Why do you show me this? A fourth, start eyes. What will the line stretch out to the crack of doom? Another yet? A seventh? I'll see no more. And yet the 8th appears, who bears a glass which shows me many more. And some I see that 2-fold balls and treble scepters carry. Horrible sight! Now I see 'tis true, for the blood-boltered Banquo smiles upon me and points at them for his. What? Is this so?
Aye, sir, all this is so. But why stands Macbeth thus amazingly? Come, sisters, cheer we up his sprites and show the best of our delights. I'll charm the air to give a sound while you perform your antic round, that this great king may kindly say our duties did his welcome pay.
Where are they? Gone? Let this pernicious hour stand I accursed in the calendar. Come in! Without there!
What's your grace's will?
Saw you the weird sisters?
No, my lord.
Came they not by you?
No, indeed, my lord.
Infected be the air whereon they ride, and damned all those that trust them. I did hear the galloping of horse who must came by.
'Tis 2 or 3, my lord, that bring you word Macduff is fled to England.
Fled to England?
Aye, my good lord.
Time, thou anticipatest my dread exploit. The flighty purpose never is o'ertook unless the deed go with it. From this moment, the very firstlings of my heart shall be the firstlings of my hand. And even now, to crown my thoughts with acts, be it thought and done. The castle of Macduff I will surprise, seize upon Fife, give to the edge of the sword his wife, his babes, and all unfortunate souls that trace him in his line. No boasting like a fool, this deed I'll do before this purpose cool. But no more sights. Where are these gentlemen? Come bring me where they are.
Can someone tell me one of the apparitions that came out of the cauldron, please? Call it out. What's one of the apparitions? He saw a bloody child. A kid with a tree? An armed head. What was the armed head warning him of? He said, quote, beware Macduff. It's interesting that after this exchange, Macbeth says, infected by the air whereon they ride, and damn all those that trust them. And it's like, but Macbeth, you seemingly trust them, so I guess you're damning yourself. Of course, to the audience, it would be foolish to trust witches, but Macbeth is long gone now. He's into it. Weirdly, at the end of all these horrific images, I thought it was odd that the witches are like, let's cheer him up. Because Macbeth is standing there amazed. He's chilled to the bone. The final apparition is Macbeth's worst fear. It was of 8 kings that were all Banquo's. Yeah, thank you, Laura. They were all Banquo's kids as kings, and it just went on, and there was a looking glass that reflected them on and on. This is a nightmare to Macbeth. It's his worst nightmare. Let's check this. So a show of 8 kings, the last with a glass, ghost of Banquo following. So I do want to check that we have evidence for that. As far as I know, it is Banquo's. Thou art too like the spirit of Banquo. Yeah, let me fact check that for next lesson. The previous apparition. This is really critical that we talk about this because we've got about 8 minutes to go, which is great. Guys, this apparition, who's talking here? This is a child crowned holding a tree. And the apparition says, in yellow here, Macbeth shall never be vanquished. What does that mean? Vanquished, yep.
He won't die.
Macbeth will never be killed until Great Burnham Wood moves to Dunsinane Hill. Literally a forest, moving all of those gum trees over to Red Hill. And you'd be like, well, you can't move all those gum trees to Red Hill. So if we can't move those gum trees to Red Hill, then no one will ever vanquish me.
But then the baby also said, so power of man, for none of women born shall harm.
Let's go to that right now. So let's just backtrack here. So Macbeth says, well, that will never happen. So I'm obviously safe then. Don't forget, one of the themes is equivocation, deliberate mistruths. So these are essentially like Gollum telling little riddles. There's a trick in these words. I'm not going to tell you the trick just yet. The previous apparition says, who's talking? The apparition is a bloody child. In yellow, the bloody child says, none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. Okay, so logically speaking, everybody is born of a woman. So therefore, I'm safe then. No one will kill me. He's like, cool. Well, I've got nothing to fear then. But he says, I am going to kill Macduff anyway, just to be safe. Yep.
So does Lennox know about the witches?
Don't think so. No. What does he say?
Saw you the weird sisters. And Lennox is like, no.
Where does he say that? No, that's Macbeth.
Yeah, but he's asking Lennox.
No,
did
my
you
lord.
see them?
Came they not by you? No, indeed, my lord. I don't think Lennox would want to offend him by saying, like, witches, what are you talking about? I don't think Lennox did see anything. Don't know. But he sure as hell wouldn't want to offend Macbeth. Some of the ingredients I want to note here. They're pouring in, some of the ingredients relate to birth and children. Pour in sow's blood. If you've got, someone's got to turn that down, is it Liam? Pour in sow's blood, not just any sow. What is a sow, by the way? Thank you, it's a pig. That hath eaten her 9 farrows, so her 9 babies. So this is a messed up concoction. Macbeth is very demanding. He says, tell me, I want to know, answer me. He's quite forceful. They know that Macbeth is coming. Hecate says, and everyone shall share the gains. I wanted to ask you, what do these witches stand to gain by doing all this? And everyone shall share the gains. To be honest, guys, one answer we could say today is just general chaos. I think that's their win. They love just screwing with stuff. We'll come back to that, but that would be an okay answer for today. My last thing I wanted to point out, look, I'm going to fact check this line. Liver of a blaspheming Jew. It was an anti-Semitic time in England in 1606, so I want to check that. And not just any finger. Here we have this reference to birth again and babies. Into the cauldron goes the finger of a birth-strangled babe, ditch delivered. What might that mean?
Does that mean that...
No, have a guess. What might ditch delivered mean? Born in a ditch, and it's birth strangled. So who might have killed it? Say this louder, please.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking abortion.
Who might have killed the baby then? Say it, Carmen. You said it like the mom. The mother has killed it because why? She didn't want it.
Guys, it's the 1600s and it's set in the 10s. In the medieval times, if you didn't want a baby, I'm imagining it's ditch delivered and it's aborted by the mother. So that is some particularly gross imagery. And there's a theme here of children dying, nature being like messed with in a way that's unnatural. I think that's it for that scene, guys. What an awesome, massive morning. Well done, guys.
What had he done to make him fly the land?
You must have patience, madam.
He had none. His flight was madness. When our actions do not, our fears do make us traitors.
You know not whether it was his wisdom or his fear.
Wisdom. To leave his wife, to leave his babes, his mansion, and his titles in a place from whence himself does fly? He loves us not. He wants the natural touch, for the poor wren, the most diminutive of birds, will fight her young ones in her nest against the owl. All is the fear, and nothing is the love. As little is the wisdom, where the flight so runs against all reason.
My dearest coz, I pray you school yourself. But for your husband, he is noble, wise, judicious, and best knows the fits of the season. I dare not speak much further. But cruel are the times when we are traitors and do not know ourselves, when we hold rumour from what we fear, yet know not what we fear, but float upon a wild and violent sea, each way and move. I take my leave of you. Shall not be long, but I'll be here again. Things at the worst will cease, or else climb upward to what they were before. My pretty cousin, blessing upon you.
Fathered he is, and yet he's fatherless.
I am so much a fool. Should I stay longer, it would be my disgrace and your discomfort. I take my leave at once.
Sarah, Your father's dead. And what will you do now? How will you live?
As birds do, Mother.
What, with worms and flies?
With what I get, I mean, and so do they.
Poor bird, thou'st never fear the net nor lime, the pitfall nor the gin.
Why should I, Mother? Poor birds they are not set for. My father is not dead, for all you're saying.
Yes, he is dead. How wilt thou do for a father?
Nay, how will you do for a husband?
Why, I can buy me 20 at any market.
Then you'll buy 'em to sell again.
Thou speak'st with all thy wit, and yet a faith with wit enough for thee.
Was my father a traitor, Mother?
Aye, that he was.
What is a traitor?
Why, one that swears and lies.
And be all traitors that do so?
Every one that does so is a traitor and must be hanged.
And must they all be hanged that swear and lie?
Every one.
Who must hang them?
Why, the honest men.
Then the liars and swearers are fools, for there are liars and swearers enough to beat the honest men and hang up them.
Now, God help thee, poor monkey. But how wilt thou do for a father?
If he were dead, you'd weep for him. If you would not, it were a good sign that I should quickly have a new father.
Poor prattler, how thou talk'st.
Bless you, fair dame. I am not to you known, though in your state of honor I am perfect. I doubt some danger does approach you nearly. If you will take a homely man's advice, be not found here. Hence with your little ones. To fright you thus, methinks I am too savage. To do worse to you were fell cruelty, which is too nigh your person. Heaven preserve you. I dare abide no longer.
Whither should I fly? I have done no harm. But I remember now I am in this earthly world, where to do harm is often laudable, to do good sometime accounted dangerous folly. Why then, alas, do I put up that womanly defense to say I have done no harm? What are these faces?
Where is your husband?
I hope in no place so unsanctified, where such as thou mayst find him.
He's a traitor.
Thou liest, thou shag-eared villain!
What? You egg?
You...
Young fry of treachery?
He has killed me, Mother. Run away, I pray you. Murder! Murder!
Let's just keep rolling. Why does she think he's a traitor? Because he freaking left them there. Where's he gone? England to do what? Totally get an army. Great job. To get an army and get back there. She has this conversation with her son, where the son is asking some pretty, philosophical little questions about life. She chooses to lie at first to the child and say, your dad's dead. I think she'd rather the kid believe he's dead than that. I think worse than being dead is that he's, sorry, your dad's left us and we've basically got targets on our backs. So I thought you guys meant the audio before. The son says, how are you going to do for a husband? She says, I can get one at the market. I can buy 20. It's no big deal to go and get a new hubby. But the son says, was my father a traitor, mother? Currently in the play, Macduff is really the hero. But to his family, he's absolutely abandoned them. So to her, he's a traitor. He's not a hero. If anything, he's just as bad as Macbeth at this point to her. He's asking ethical questions there, this son. So what is a traitor? And do we have to hang all traitors? What about honest men? Who's good and who's bad? there's nothing too much more that I need to discuss there with you guys at this moment. A paradox is like, or this might be, I'm going to check this later, an oxymoron. So an opposite thing. Fathered he is, and yet fatherless. Similar to the opening of the play that says, fair is foul and foul is fair. An opposite. It's almost like, yeah, there's certainly a juxtaposing of ideas. Okay, so Ross tries to convince, she's pissed that her husband's left her, and she actually even likens him. We have some bird imagery here, which Shakespeare loves to do. She makes the point that even a poor wren, what's a wren? What kind of bird? Gus, yeah, a little one, mate, yeah. Even a wren, the most diminutive of birds, will fight against an owl. But my husband is not even like, doesn't even have the courage of a wren. He's absolutely abandoned us. However, Ross tries to say, no, I pray you, your husband is noble, wise. Trust us, this is the right decision. Check this. She says a comment about the world here and about society. I made this yellow for us to come back to later. She says, where to do harm is often laudable, and sometimes doing the right thing is risky. For instance, it makes me think of even ethics to do with death. We see it as honourable to kill if you're in the army, but it's dishonourable to kill in another context with murder. Some violence we deem, as she says, laudable. She's just making an observation that, you know, it's weird that sometimes to do good is to do something risky.
Let us seek out some desolate shade, and there weep our sad bosoms empty. Let us rather hold fast the mortal sword, and, like good men, bestride our downfallen birthdom. Each new morn, new widows howl. New orphans cry, new sorrows strike heaven on the face, that it resounds as if it felt with Scotland, and yelled out like syllable of dole.
What I believe, I'll wail. What know, believe, and what I can redress, as I shall find the time to friend, I will. What you have spoke, it may be so, perchance. This tyrant whose sole name blisters our tongues was once thought honest. You have loved him well. He hath not touched you yet. I am young, but something you may deserve of him through me, and wisdom to offer up a weak, poor, innocent lamb to appease an angry god.
I am not treacherous.
But Macbeth is. A good and virtuous nature may recoil in an imperial charge. But I shall crave your pardon. That which you are, my thoughts cannot transpose. Angels are bright still, though the brightest fell. Though all things foul would wear the brows of grace, yet grace must still look so.
I have lost my hopes.
Perchance even there where I did find my doubts. Why in that rawness left you wife and child? Those precious motives, those strong knots of love without leave-taking. I pray you, let not my jealousies be your dishonours, but mine own safeties. You may be rightly just, whatever I shall think.
Bleed, bleed, poor country. Great tyranny, lay thou thy basest shore, for goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, the title is afeard. Fare thee well, lord. I would not be the villain that thou think'st for the whole space that's in the tyrant's grasp, and the rich east to boot.
Be not offended. I speak not as in absolute fear of you. I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. I think withal, there would be hands uplifted in my right, and here, from gracious England, have I offer of goodly thousands. But for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head, or wear it on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffer, and more sundry ways than ever by him that shall succeed.
What should he be?
It is myself, I mean, in whom I know all the particulars of vice, so grafted, that when they shall be opened, Black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb being compared with my confineless arms.
Not in the legions of hard hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth.
I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, smacking of every sin that has a name, but there's no bottom, none in my voluptuousness. Your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids could not fill up the cistern of my lust, and my desire all continent impediments would o'erbear that did oppose my will. Better Macbeth than such a one to reign.
Boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. It hath been the untimely emptying of the happy throne and fall of many kings. But fear not yet to take upon you what is yours. You may convey your pleasures in a spacious plenty, and yet seem cold. The time you may so hoodwink. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you to devour so many as will to greatness dedicate themselves, finding it so inclined.
With this there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a stanchless avarice that were I king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands, desire his jewels and this other's house, and my more having would be as a sauce to make me hunger more, that I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and loyal, destroying them for wealth.
This avarice sticks deeper, grows with more pernicious root than summer-seeming lust, and it hath been the sword of our slain kings. Yet do not fear. Scotland hath foisons to fill up your will of your mere own. All these are portable, with other graces weighed.
But I have none. The king becoming graces as justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, perseverance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it many ways. Nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth.
Oh, Scotland, Scotland!
Such a one be fit to govern speak. I am, as I have spoken.
Fit to govern? No, not to live. O nation miserable with an untitled tyrant, bloody sceptred, when shalt thou see thy wholesome days again, since that the truest issue of thy throne by his own interdiction stands accursed, and does blaspheme his breed? Thy royal father was a most sainted king. The queen that bore thee, oftener upon her knees than on her feet, died every day she lived. Fare thee well. These evils thou repeat'st upon thyself have banished me from Scotland. Oh, my breast! Thy hope ends here.
Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath from my soul wiped the black scruples, reconciled my thoughts to thy good truth and honor. Devilish Macbeth, by many of these trains, hath sought to win me into his power, and modest wisdom plucks me from over-credulous haste. But God above deal between thee and me, for even now I put myself to thy direction, and unspeak mine own detraction. Here abjure the taints and blames I laid upon myself, for strangers to my nature I am yet unknown to woman. Never was forsworn, scarcely have coveted what was mine own, at no time broke my faith, would not betray the devil to his fellow, and delight no less in truth than life. My first false speaking was this upon myself: what I am truly is thine and my poor country's to command, whither indeed, before thy here approach, old Seward with 10,000 warlike men already at a point was setting forth. Now we'll together, and the chance of goodness be like our warranted quarrel. Why are you silent?
Such welcome and unwelcome things at once. 'Tis hard to reconcile.
Well, more anon. Comes the king forth, I pray you?
Aye, sir. There are a crew of wretched souls that stay his cure. Their malady convinces the great essay of art, but at his touch, such sanctity hath heaven given his hand, they presently amend.
I thank you, doctor.
What's the disease he means?
'Tis called the evil. A most miraculous work in this good king, which often since my here remain in England I have seen him do. How he solicits heaven, himself best knows, but strangely visited people, all swollen and ulcerous, pitiful to the eye, the mere despair of surgery, he cures, hanging a golden stamp about their necks, put on with holy prayers, and, 'tis spoken, to the succeeding royalty he leaves the healing benediction. With this strange virtue he hath a heavenly gift of prophecy, and sundry blessings hang about his throne that speak him full of grace.
See who comes here.
My countryman, but yet I know him not.
My ever-gentle cousin, welcome hither.
I know him now. Good God, betimes remove the means that makes us strangers.
Sir, amen.
Stands Scotland where it did.
Alas, poor country, almost afraid to know itself. It cannot be called our mother, but our grave, where nothing but who knows nothing is once seen to smile, where sighs and groans and shrieks that rent the air are made, not marked, where violent sorrow seems a modern ecstasy. The dead man's knell is there, scarce asked for who, and good men's lives expire before the flowers in their caps, dying or ere they sicken.
Oh, relation too nice and yet too true.
What's the newest grief?
That of an hour's age doth hiss the speaker. Each minute teems a new one.
How does my wife?
Why, well.
And all my children?
Well, too.
The tyrant has not battered at their peace?
No, they were well at peace when I did leave 'em.
Be not a niggard of your speech. How goest?
When I came hither to transport the tidings, which I have heavily borne, there ran a rumour of many worthy fellows that were out, which to my belief witnessed the rather for that I saw the tyrant's power afoot. Now is the time of help. Your eye in Scotland would create soldiers, make our women fight to doff their dire distresses.
Be it their comfort, we are coming thither. Gracious England hath lent us good Seward and 10,000 men, an older and a better soldier none that Christendom gives out.
Oh, would I could answer this comfort with the like. But I have words that would be howled out in the desert air, where hearing should not latch them.
What concern then? The general cause, or is it a fee grief due to some single breast?
No mind that's honest, but in it shares some woe, though the main part pertains to you alone.
If it be mine, keep it not from me. Quickly, let me have it.
Let not your ears despise my tongue forever, which shall possess them with the heaviest sound that ever yet they heard.
I guess at it.
Your castle is surprised. Your wife and babes savagely slaughtered. To relate the manner, we're on the quarry of these murdered deer to add the death of you.
Merciful heaven. What man ne'er pull your hat upon your brows, give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak whispers the o'er-fraught heart and bids it break.
My children too.
Wife, children, servants, all that could be found.
And I must be from thence. My wife killed too.
I have said.
Be comforted. Let's make us medicines of our great revenge to cure this deadly grief.
He has no children. All, my pretty ones? Did you say all? Oh, Hellkite, all? Well, all my pretty chickens and their dam at one fell swoop.
Dispute it like a man.
I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man. I cannot but remember such things were most precious to me. Did heaven look on and would not take their part? Sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee. Not that I am, not for their own demerit, but for mine fell slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now.
Be this the whetstone of your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart, enrage it.
Oh, I could play the woman with mine eyes and braggart with my tongue. But, gentle heavens, cut short all intermission. Front to front, bring thou this fiend of Scotland and myself. Within my sword's length set him. If he escape, heaven forgive him too.
This tune goes manly. Come, go we to the king. Our power is ready. Our lack is nothing but our leave. Macbeth is ripe for shaking. And the powers above put on their instruments. Receive what cheer you may. The night is long that never finds the day.
Let's go fast, crew. It was quite a big scene. Just go basics. What was the big news that just occurred at the end of the scene? Macduff found out his family died. Please speak loudly. Heath, how would you describe Macduff's reaction to hearing that his family's dead? He's pretty shattered, yeah. He is. And we have some good gender quotes here, people. Did you notice that gender quote? So we've got, Malcolm says, dispute it like a man here. But really cool line from Macduff. He's not like Macbeth, guys. He is the complete opposite to Macbeth. He's less insecure in his masculinity. He says, yeah, but first I must feel it as a man. Whereas you've got Macbeth, who is so insecure about being manly enough, but you have Macduff who's saying, just give me a minute to actually just have some emotion about this news that he's just heard. It's interesting, this jumped out at me too this year. Malcolm doesn't have kids. So I noticed that Macduff says he has no children. Like, the first thing Malcolm says to him is, be comforted. Let's just use it as revenge, Macduff. And Macduff is like, you don't even have kids. There's no way you could know how I'm feeling right now. He says, all my pretty ones. Who is he referring to as being a hellkite? Correct. Macbeth. People, what is a kite? A bird. What kind of bird? Big one, little one? Big one. What does the kite eat? Yeah, meat, right? They eat other animals. Okay, so we're saying a bird of prey. And what bird does he use to refer to his kids? Chickens. What kind of bird is a chicken? Well, guess what? They're a lot more vulnerable. They're flightless. So it really paints this picture of vulnerability. Team, if you're in the exam and you're writing about imagery, you might remember some of these bird references. There's so many about birds. This is only the tip of the iceberg, Jack. So it's horrible news. The whole castle was surprised. Everybody was slaughtered. Nothing exciting here for now. I'm going pretty quickly. I'm just summarizing. Sorry? A war is 100% brewing, yeah. It already was starting, but now Macduff is extremely angry because now it's personal as well. We haven't, guys, the country has gone to poo. The country is in a bad place. Things are really falling apart under the reign of Macbeth. Guys, it is critically important that you understand. It's critically important that you understand Malcolm's big ramble. If we go back Macbeth, the whole thing starts with Macduff and Malcolm walking along. They're talking about how crap Scotland is now. Then the conversation turns to Malcolm, and he starts to say, look, Macbeth is bad. He's bloody, he's false, he's deceitful, he's malicious. But guess what? I'm actually worse. He's like, you think Macbeth's bad? I'm horrendous. In my voluptuousness, your wives, your daughters, your matrons, your maids could not fill up my lust and my desire. He is saying he will have sex with anyone, doesn't matter who it is. He is off the rails. He then says, I will be so much worse on the throne than Macbeth. Like, you trust me, you don't want me. Guys, it's a test. It's a test. He's faking it to see what Macduff will react like. Because if Macduff is truly loyal, Macduff will say, it doesn't matter how bad you are the rightful person to be on that throne. He says, if I was king, I would cut off the nobles from their lands. I would desire all the jewels. And that wouldn't even satisfy me. I'd have even more hunger. Trust me, I would be awful as king. He is testing Macduff's loyalty. Macduff passed the test because each time he says, I'm horrendous, Macduff says, oh, okay, but I don't care. You're the right person to be on that throne. He says, we'll actually find you women. We don't care. Look, if you're into lots of women, we'll find you that. We don't care. You're the rightful person for the job. Malcolm says all of the characteristics that a king should have. Side note, this is Shakespeare trying to please who? Who might be in the audience? King James. Beautiful. It's a little bit of flattery to King James to just spell out these beautiful characteristics that we desire in a king. And he says, I would ruin it even more. This is why Macduff, guys, is just, oh my God, he's freaking. He's just like, could this day get any worse? He says, if you go with me, you're going to be even worse off. And then out of nowhere, Malcolm says, sorry, just kidding. He says, guys, he's a virgin. He's like, yeah, man, just kidding. I haven't even been with a woman. And he says, the only lie I've ever told was this. He's only ever lied once, and it was now. This is the first time. This is first false speaking is now. It was to test Macduff's loyalty to Scotland. And Macduff passed the test because it didn't matter how much messed up stuff Malcolm said. Each time Macduff said, cool, I'll still take you over, Macbeth. It is extremely easy to miss that.